Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here to talk to you about the monitoring strategy to characterize atmospheric fallout from industrial facility emission. I introduce myself. I'm Jessica Queron, and I worked at INERIS. INERIS, is a French public institute for industrial and environmental risk management. We are acting aegis of the ministry in charge of the environment, and we are around 550 people, and we're located in Verneuil-en-Latte with 30,000 square meters of laboratories. Our model is based on 3 core elements: support for public policies, high-level research, applied research, and consulting and service activities. Among our mission to support the ministry, our team, we are working on monitoring strategy in order to assess chronic exposure of population. For that, we do some guides, technical support, studies, and also, I'm sorry, it's very tiny. Can we enlarge the slide, please? Sorry. Okay. Thank you. Perfect. Okay. So, and training of our regional environmental inspectors. What about the context of environmental monitoring? The objective is to obtain measurement results to determine if local fallout of current atmospheric emissions from a specific site present a risk to the environment and the exposure of population. The big challenge is to assess a chronic exposure of the population is to have representative average concentration. An environmental monitoring is performed by voluntary approach or ad hoc studies or in the context of a regulatory monitoring program. Indeed, some facilities are regulated by Ministry Act and sectoral decrees. But in France, there is no dedicated standards. We do apply ambient air standards. Therefore, there is no accreditations reference system. So, to homogenize practices in France, a national guide was published by INERIS. Here it is. First of all, it provides the methodology to define pollutants to be followed, methodology to be implemented, a choice of location or the period of measurement, and the approach for interpreting results. To whom this guide is intended regional environmental inspectors, but also research department, industry, laboratories in charge to sample environmental matrices. Let me quickly introduce you to our guide. First of all, we give some explanation about air compartment. Actually, air meteorology is some kind of picture of the present moment. So it's made up of gases and particles that remain in suspension in ambient air. We talked about air concentrations and or settle or integrated environmental compartment, soil, plants, surface water, animals, in direct contact with the atmosphere. And we talked about atmospheric deposition. So atmospheric fallout is composed of air concentrations and atmospheric deposition. It's okay. In this guide, we give some methodology of monitoring strategy by some questions. What, how, where, when, to measure pollutants in the air and in atmospheric deposition. In this presentation, I'm going to focus on only on 2 questions, what and where. Which pollutants to be followed? As you know, several pollutants are concerned, such as VOC, metals, dioxide. This followed, depending on the substances and the use of media, may potentially lead to a population exposure, either directly by inhalation, but also indirectly through the consumption of accumulating environmental matrices and by ingestion. And where do we measure them? It exists some tools for sampling point selection, such as multi-year wind wars, modeling of emission dispersion, location of targets, such as dwellings, beetles, dinosaur farming, and location of other sources. We do usually warning about not to forget a reference point, and also to use a meteorological station, locally available, and real-time monitoring on-site dispersion conditions. It's really essential to interpret results. And in this guide, we give some case studies, 4 case studies, to illustrate situations, channel and diffuse emission of gaseous compounds, and also channel and diffuse emissions such as dioxin furan emissions and trace metal particulate emissions. In case study, we describe the site, the substance, pollutants to be followed, where the location, the measurement, etc., and interpreting results. But in France, we want to improve practices, and why not beyond the front, but with you? There is thinking about the need to harmonize practices, to centralize data among all these different stakeholders in the field environmental monitoring around facilities, to improve the quality of monitoring around facility, maybe by imposing methodology, improve the interpretation of the monitoring around facility by record surveillance data in a data bank, to help interpretation and better know background levels, and also by the development of reference regulatory values for public authorities. Let me ask you to tell us, how do you do in your country about a monitoring strategy to characterize atmospheric fallout around facilities, guide, regulatory standards, accreditation, I don't know. Do not hesitate to share your practices by email. And we have some tiny gifts for you, by the way, next up in English for our guides. So enjoy. Thank you for your attention.